Okay, the White House has said that it will not focus on Georgia's 2020 elections. Georgia Republican source adds to us that they were notified of speech and the upcoming report's initial Georgia election focus in advance. Okay, so the White House denies it, but local officials don't deny it. There's been some shit going on in Georgia, yeah, for a while, with the sympathetic electors board there. Well, thankfully, he's not in charge of state elections or Congress. Well, he kind of is in charge of Congress through Mike Johnson, and also he is kind of directly in control of Georgia's election process, because the 3 of the 5 people on the elections board in Georgia are like hardcore MAGA aligned. So, is that legal? Does it matter? He's trying to rig a couple of states. I mean, yeah, obviously, but also, like, I don't really know what the implication is of him saying, like, the existing senators are illegitimate. I don't really know where we're going with this. Kind of like a very generic, hold on.
The president has announced plans to deliver a rare primetime speech to the nation on Thursday night. And this morning, we've learned more about what he is planning to address. NBC's senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez with the details now. Gabe, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. The president did not specify what he'd be talking about during the speech, scheduled for 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. And while it comes amid those escalating tensions with Iran...
Allegedly, he'll offer Maduro leniency if he offers evidence to his 2020 election interference claims. Oh, yeah, I forgot. They have Maduro in a CIA black site right now. He's in Guantanamo Bay getting his nuts tased.
On MS Now reports, citing 2 White House officials, the president is expected to address newly declassified intelligence, which the administration claims reveals plans by foreign nations to interfere in the 2020 election. 3 people familiar with the effort tell NBC News that a White House task force had been gathering thousands of pages of documents from U.S. intelligence and law enforcement agencies, including information related to the 2020 election, signs of ballot irregularities, and potential voting machine issues. After that election, President Trump and his allies filed multiple...
He's in New York. Guantanamo Bay, New York, yeah. Getting his balls tased.
Multiple lawsuits, but they were overturned in large part over a lack of evidence. Elections experts and government officials, including members of President Trump's cabinet during his first term, have said there was no widespread voter fraud. Still, President Trump has continued to falsely claim the 2020 election was stolen, and he named a longtime supporter, Bill Pulte, to temporarily lead the intelligence agencies. Overnight, Democrats, including Senator John Ossoff of Georgia, argued the president is focusing on, quote, debunked election...
Right, yeah.
With the integrity of America's elections on the line, let's bring in MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Delanian. Vaughn Hilliard is our senior White House reporter. Charlie Sykes writes the newsletter To the Contrary on
Cuba
Substack.
Next. They would have gone after Cuba already if it wasn't for how much of a shit show Iran has turned out to be. 100%. Difficult to get involved in 2 quagmires at once, you know?
And Ankush Kadori is a former federal prosecutor and author of Open File. Vaughn, why this? Why now?
I don't want to get in front of too much reporting that we're actively working on, Alicia, here, but we should have updates here soon on exactly what the framing of this Thursday announcement is going to be and what documents that we are looking at. I think that we just need to set up this as the reality that Donald Trump, 1.5 years into office, was frustrated and angry by the lack of the intelligence community proving that he, in fact, won the 2020 election, that he had it stolen from him. We looked at Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence.
Is there a reason news anchors are always blinking? The lights in the studio are pretty damn bright.
The CIA Director Radcliffe, folks that now for a year and a half before Gabbard left, of course, who had access to this raw material, folks across the intelligence community that made determinations that there was clearly no evidence that would suggest that there was vote changing and that Donald Trump actually won the election. Fast forward to where we find ourselves now. It's here in July of 2026, and the President of the United States has turned to other folks, people like Bill Pulte, people like John Solomon, people like Cleta Mitchell. These are folks that have been at the forefront of his election denying.
And that's why this is so dangerous, because we have no idea what they are cherry picking here, what Donald Trump is going to present to the public.
I don't really know what he can do about it that's actionable, to be honest. I mean, he's made a million efforts to interfere in the electoral process. I have no doubt that there's going to be a lot of fuckery with the midterms. I just don't really know how much of a difference it's going to make, you know?
that would be
Why is Trump doing this as a distraction? Because he knows he's going to get washed out in the midterms.
Very misleading. For example, there was reporting that China was trying to flood the country with fake driver's licenses. That was several years ago. Some senior FBI officials withdrew that report because they realized it was bogus. Some of those people were later fired in this administration because the Trump administration didn't like the fact that they withdrew that report. Nonetheless, it was a false report. It wasn't true. These were fake IDs designed for teenagers trying to get into bars.
Knowing him, it's pretty likely that he doesn't actually think that he's going to lose legitimately. Like, I do believe that he believes the voter fraud is real. Like, I believe that he believes it's an actual problem. So my guess is that in anticipation of a midterm blowout, Republicans around him have been telling him about the continued threat of electoral fraud to kind of like mentally buffer him against when the results come in, you know?
So those are the kind of things that are circulating in U.S. intelligence repositories that we are concerned that Donald Trump may present to the public as evidence that the election was stolen, when in fact this information says nothing of the kind. Alicia.
Charlie Sykes, I'm not sure if you're clairvoyant or if you're just paying attention, but your latest column, you write about all the ways we've already seen the president change election rules. You've said that it's, quote, cosmic naivete to think Trump won't try to interfere in the election. This isn't actually about 2020. This is about 2026. This is about 2028.
No, that's exactly right. Look, I mean, you know, he wants to relitigate 2016 Russian interference, 2020. But, you know, make no mistake about it. This is about undermining confidence.
Well, hold on. The Russian interference was true.
In elections for 2026 and 2028, perhaps providing a pretext for more election interference, including the declaration of an emergency that would allow the federal government to control or interfere with the electoral process. This is what he is doing, and none of it is subtle. You see it in the firing of members of the bipartisan election commission. You see it in the a letter of extortion going out to states saying that we will withhold counterterrorism funds unless you change your election rules. His passion for the SAVE Act, and this is.
What do you think the likelihood is of him declaring a state of emergency? I can't see the future. I can't see the future. I'm sorry, I don't have the ability to give you odds. Odds? You want odds? Good Lord. No, I don't think so. Well, we'll see how it goes. Was it really the Russian interference stuff? Yeah, it was well corroborated that the Russian government made an effort to interfere in the 2016 election to get Trump elected. Yeah, it's like very, I think Iran might actually beat the US. Maybe, but we'll get to that in due time.